Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rising Stories. I'm Corine Sandifer and I'm your host. Each week I ask a business owner and author to come on and share their stories about their successes and their triumphs, and I have the best time listening to their stories. I am super excited about this podcast and I hope it will be an encouragement to you. It's for anyone who loves to hear about stories of success, and it's for anyone who would love to learn from other women who run their businesses well, or authors who write, and we need to find out how they write and what they do to get there. My guests are the most interesting and fascinating people you'll ever want to meet, and you get a taste of what their world is like with each episode. My guest today is Holly Becker. Holly is an international best-selling author and stylist. She is also a photographer. She has published 4 books in 20 languages worldwide. Her book, Decorate for a Party, just released here in September. She is an American author based in northern Germany and gives lectures at some of the most influential design and industry fairs around the world. One of the things Holly and I discussed is how she launched a decorating blog in 2006. She is considered a pioneer of the design blog. Oh my goodness, she was such a fascinating guest. I enjoyed meeting her. She is lovely, down to earth, and just beautiful, and we had the best conversation. Also, Holly is giving away 2 copies of her book, Decorate for a Party, to Rising Stories listeners. All the information on how to enter will be on my Instagram at Corine Sandifer. You must enter because the book, I just got my copy the other day, and it is beautiful. You will love to have it on display on your coffee table. The pictures inside are gorgeous. It was a delicious book to look at, and I know you will absolutely love it. So go over to Instagram and get all the details on how to win. And this contest is open only to North American listeners. Here is my conversation with Holly.
Well, my husband's German, so our son is half American, half German, and he's bilingual already. So it's really exciting to see how quickly he picks up on the language. It's great.
Yes, they are just sponges at that age. I mean,
yes,
they really are, and can just adapt so well to both, like go back and forth.
Yes, it's great. And the way to do that is you have to always speak to them in your native language. So my husband only speaks to him in German. I only speak to him in English. And if you're really strict with that, they actually end up speaking the languages very clearly and very quickly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I totally. Yeah. That is so cool that you can do that.
Yeah, it takes a lot of discipline, but it's definitely worth it.
And so tell me about your business. You are a decorator and you've written a book. So you're kind of a double whammy for my as my guest, because I interview business owners and I also interview authors, and you're both.
Oh, great. Oh, cool. That's wonderful. I actually do a lot of things. Like most entrepreneurial women, I wear lots of hats, and I started off, I used to be a project manager for a large company in Boston, and I did that for a long time. And I realized that I really wanted to do something creative in my life. So I went back to school. I went to design school, and before I'd gone to school for marketing. So I thought, it'd be really nice to get into design because I was already doing it during the day at my job. I was a space and project manager for human resources. So I was always working with architects and designers, and I just thought it'd be really cool to actually do something creative. And I had lots of ideas, and my colleagues really inspired me and encouraged me to tap more into my creative side. So I went back to school and ended up taking clients right away. And my teacher told me I was crazy. She said, "You don't even really know the principles of design yet, and you're already taking clients in Boston." And I said, "Hey, that's how I learn, hands-on."
Yeah, absolutely. On the job training. I mean, how else are you going to learn, really?
Yeah, totally. And this was back in 04 or 05. Yeah, 04. And so what I did is I started a blog in January 2006 because I wanted to supplement my design income with writing for magazines. My goal was to write for Domino, which back then was a leading interiors magazine, and I really wanted to write for them. And I wasn't getting anywhere just saying that, I worked in design. So I really need to back that up with some actual writing experience. So I started writing on my blog, and 6-7 months in, I pitched story ideas to them, and I got accepted as one of their writers, and I started writing for their website pretty quickly, and I was with them for 3 years.
When did you start writing for Domino? Because that has been my favorite magazine.
Yeah, in 2006, and I wrote for them until 2009, and I also was an online editor for realsimple.com for 3 years, and I had my own column in the Boston Globe and their print newspaper every week in the style and art section. I had a whole page calling out trends, and so the blog really helped me to get into writing relatively quickly. I was one of the first design blogs in the United States, so I definitely came in at a really good time.
Yes, that's a lot. That's a huge sheet there that you've got all these things behind you that and so did you find that because you had all of these you were writing and you were being the editor and you were doing all this stuff that helped your blog kind of launch? Is that what you were saying, that really kind of gave you a lot of readers? And the readers came.
Yeah, no, the readers came, funny enough, they came through the blog. They didn't come through the different outlets I was writing for, which I thought was pretty interesting, because back then people were really just learning about blogs, and they were finding us pretty quickly because there were so few of us out there that were actually writing design blogs. Nowadays, there's so many there's tons, but back then, if you wanted to find a design or decorating blog, it was pretty easy, and you really would only find a few good ones. And so people started finding me through the blog. And I remember one day apartmenttherapy.com wrote about me being a new blog and how much they liked following me. And this was back in, I think, March 2006. So it was 10 and a half years ago. And I just felt really powerful and happy and in charge of my life when I was blogging. I felt like I had something to say. And I still do. It's been 10 and a half years, and I haven't stopped writing ever since. And I love it. I've written 4 books. My 4th one just published in the US and in the UK, and also in French and Italian and German. And the other languages are soon to come. My first book published in, I think, 12 languages worldwide. So
wow, that's amazing.
4 books in. Yeah, I'm working on the 5th book now. So it's just been an amazing career. I'm very, very proud of myself, but most of all, I'm very thankful for my readers and the people that support me, because without that, I wouldn't be anywhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
Like I said, that Domino has been one of my favorite books, magazines. And one of the reasons I would always share it with my friends, my girlfriends, I'm like, everything was really cool and neat as far as the design and the decor. And I really could, see myself in all those pictures. I love this, love that. But the thing that I love the most in myself being a writer and a blogger, I love the writing. So I'm thrilled. I think I'm going to go back. I still have my copies. I still have old issues from a long time ago because I loved it so much. I just loved, there were several writers. I just couldn't wait to hear back from them each. And I'm wondering if one of them is yours, because I don't remember names. There's
probably not. Probably not, because I never wrote for their print publication. I only wrote for their website.
Just for the website.
Yeah, this was before they had a blog, and I started writing for their website. So I did roundups, trend roundups, features, home tours. So I wrote for their website, but unfortunately none of that content is around anymore.
Oh, wow. So you are truly in the online, blogging, writing for website type world. You've been in that
definitely.
for a long time.
Yeah. I always really loved online media and really writing for the web, because I found it gets out to so many people so much more quickly. And even though I have done print work, I definitely have many articles published in magazines globally. But I really keep going back to online media. I just really love it. I feel like that you can just reach, like I said, people more quickly. And because things are changing so fast now, it's very dynamic and you can just reach your audience in seconds. You don't have to wait for something to go into print. Though I still really love a good print magazine. So I'm definitely in the middle on that.
Yeah. So take me back to when you were first blogging, when you first started blogging, and you
Yeah.
were, so you had already graduated from design school and you were starting out with your blog, and there were a few bloggers. Um, what what was it that kind of kept that just spurred you on and kept you going? Was it just were you hitting, all the milestones and kind of coming up, or were there any setbacks?
Yeah, it was interesting because I definitely felt back then that it was such a new thing. We were the early bloggers. We are known now as the pioneers of the whole movement of online writing for interiors and design and lifestyle categories. So, like when I started, there was no such thing as a food blogger, and there was no such thing as Instagram or even Facebook. That wasn't public yet, and Etsy was just launching when I started, and there was no Twitter, and people just weren't the word social media didn't exist. It wasn't even something we thought about back then. So it was this movement where we just felt really passionate about sharing, and having a platform like a blog was perfect for journalists and for people like myself who wanted to break into journalism, because it gave us an outlet where we could put our content and connect with people, but we didn't have to ask permission to do it. We just started our own blog and call it what we want and design it how we want. And even though we were limited back then with our templates, we still were able to publish. We were able to self-publish. And that was certainly very exciting. We didn't have to ask anybody, will you please take our story? Please, please, pretty please. It was just, hey, I feel like writing about something. I have a blog. I'm going to write. I don't need to ask permission. And that was really a real feeling of freedom and liberation. I still think about that all the time, and how lucky that we all are to have these platforms where we can just share so freely. We don't have to ask, and that's great.
And I think it launched so many careers. It launched so many, just what you were talking about. It launched so many, maybe even, what am I trying to say? Like other designers that were maybe on the cutting edge, or just some topics
Yes,
that people needed to hear about that we would never have heard about if there weren't
absolutely.
bloggers.
Yeah, and back then, I mean, everything was all about, if you wanted to get something stylish, you had to pretty much hire a designer, and they would take you into a, design showroom, and you would order through the designer to the trade only. Everything was to the trade only. So if you wanted a really great sofa or rug or wallpaper, a lot of it was sold to the trade. So you really couldn't just walk in off the street and buy beautiful products for your home. Nowadays you can find gorgeous stuff at places like Target, and you can go to so many home stores like Anthropology even. I mean, God, what a gorgeous resource that store is. And there's so many beautiful shops that you can go to. But, 10, 11, 12 years ago, it was a different world. If you wanted to buy certain paint or wallpaper, good luck. You had to hire a designer to get to that good stuff. So I think having blogs and having all of these, I know having all of this interest being generated online really pushed retailers and really pushed companies out of that space of thinking, oh, this is only for designers, and realizing, hey, normal people want this stuff. Let's bring it to the people. And then that way, I think Domino always said that they brought design to the people. That was one of their things that they really felt passionate about. They were bringing good design to everyone, and blogs and were also doing that and still are.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you still have your blog, and you're
Yes.
writing your books, and
Yes.
you are speaking, and I follow you on, I believe I follow you on Instagram, and I love
Yes.
those new Instagram stories. Those are just my favorite to watch.
Yeah,
And
totally.
I try to watch as much as I can, and just because it's just a peek into everybody's world, which
Mm-hmm.
is so complementary to what what you're putting out there, what everyone's putting out there. So give me a day in the life of Holly. What does she do? Like, and I'm sure as most of my listeners know, everybody's, day is never the same twice. Like, because we're business owners and authors, and it's always different. But tell me a typical, just a random day.
Yeah, sure, of course. Well, right now it's a little different because my fourth book just came out, Decorate for Party, and it's a book that requires a little bit of marketing on my part. So my schedule is a little nuts because I'm traveling. I was just in Hamburg and launching it in German, and then I went to Anthropology in London, launched it last week in English, and then to a blogger conference in Amsterdam, launched it there. Next, we're going to launch it in my city in Hanover, then over in Berlin, and then we're launching it down in Zurich, and then hopefully in Rome and Paris, and then maybe I probably will be in Nashville.
You'll be in Nashville.
Yeah, I think
you've
so.
Got to
around
connect
Christmas.
with me.
Yeah, I will. Absolutely. You have to come meet me. And I think New York. So it looks like we're probably going to end up doing 10 cities on this tour, which is really exciting. And but it's also made my schedule nuts. So right now I'm kind of just
and you're a mom.
I have a 2.5-year-old.
Yeah. So. That's tough.
Yeah, and no childcare. My childcare, I had it and then it didn't work out. The woman couldn't handle him anymore because she has other kids and it was too much. So now I'm back down to 0. So I'm balancing him full time. My husband thankfully works from home too. So we're both we're helping manage his life as well as our own. Mm-hmm. It's a little nuts, but
it's still hard to do that even when both are at home. Yeah.
Yeah. So I work mostly in the daytime when he naps, or I'll work in the early morning. And I definitely take advantage of these nighttime hours. So I'm working from 8 to midnight.
Wow. That's great though that you can do that. And so you're a mommy sort of in the daytime and with some, breaks, and then you hit it hard at night, which a lot of people who I've met some people who work during the day and kind of do their side hustle at night, which is very similar. I mean, I feel like I work all day long and all evening long too.
Yeah.
But we just do what we can, right?
Yeah. And I always did. I always have worked a ton. So having a child really hasn't given me additional hours to work. I'm still basically working the same amount of time. It's just I have less time to devote to my business and more time to devote to him. I'm still having a really long day. It's just he's part of it now instead of before where I basically could just do the whole day devoted to my job. Now I have to split it with him, but it's fine. He'll be in school at some point, and he's so little. I just love spending time with him. So I don't look at it as a burden. It's a very precious time. I only plan on having the one. So I don't mind the sacrifice it takes, even though I'm exhausted.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm sure he's a cutie. Well,
he is.
So tell me what drives you as a designer, and where do you get all your inspiration from? Is it nature, or does it just come by seeing other things, other works?
Yeah, it's funny for me because I definitely get it from going out and having conversations, and sometimes just sitting in a cafe and observing people. I'm very much a journalist in that way. I love to look around and try to guess what people's stories are. And sometimes I even get into conversations with people and just ask them questions. I love people, and I really enjoy seeking inspiration through others, and that can take any form. It can be through their books, television shows, it can be through conversations, it can be through conferences I attend, going to fairs, meeting makers, going to shops, speaking to people that work there. However I can soak in information and learn about others and their stories, it's definitely very inspiring, and that moves me forward. I definitely am very much an extrovert in that fashion.
So with your own home, do you change things around a lot? I'm just curious.
I do. I do. My husband will say yes, and I'll say no. I think that's like with everyone who's really into design and stuff. You always think you don't do it enough, and everyone around you is like, "Oh my God, will you please stop moving that piece of furniture?" Yeah, I mean, I do. It's a lot less than I used to since having my son. I just can't constantly flip things around because I'm so busy with him and my job, but I do more than the average person, definitely.
Yeah. Well, do you
Yeah.
find that when you're changing things around, are you like moving things out and bringing something else in, like
Yes,
to
yeah, I
replace it?
do.
Is that what you're doing? Yeah.
Yeah, I do, and I like to paint and wallpaper. And I just had my wallpaper put up. I had Farrell Ball wallpaper put into my living room, and I really love it. It's kind of moody and it's really cozy and nice. So I'm looking forward to that being in that space a little more in the winter because it's definitely very cozy in there. It's like a gray color, and it's great. My office is more of like a pale salmon, pale pink. My other room next to me is like a very light gray. My kitchen is kind of a pale blue. So I definitely have like a more of a light color palette in my house just because it makes me happy to be around sunshine and bright colors. But yeah, so when I change things, I tend to lately be doing wallpaper and paint, which is strange. It's not usually how I usually would change things, but I don't know. I'm really into it lately. Color on the walls and wallpaper.
And do you paint yourself or do you hire out the
I
painting?
hire out.
You
Yeah, I
do.
hire out for everything. I used to paint myself, and I'm not being a snob. I have no problem painting myself. I actually like it. I really find it kind of
Yeah.
like therapy. But I have almost 4-meter ceilings. So my
Oh,
house,
wow.
my it's huge. I live in a very old house. It's from 1901, and it's the ceilings are just soaring and it's really nice, but there's I can't even get on a ladder to reach the top. So there's no way I'm going to paint these rooms or wallpaper
Mm-hmm.
them.
Oh, wow. Yeah. That
I'll fall off. I'm scared of heights. But yeah, when I lived in the US, I had shorter ceilings, so I painted everything and I loved
Yeah,
it.
I
So,
find
yeah.
it relaxing too. Just,
Yeah, it's nice.
and it's almost like I'm going to be precise and I'm going to do it. And it's going
Yeah.
to, like, I pride myself now in being able to cut in, is what we call it here. I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, no, I know. Yeah, yeah,
Cutting
cutting in.
in,
Yep.
just, it's like, oh yeah, I did great on that. I love being able to look back and go, even though, I mean, I'm not a painter of
Yeah.
anything else but walls, but that gives me some joy to be able to do that.
Oh, I'm proud of you actually because I have to always use painter's tape. I'm so bad with clean lines. I can't cut in good at all. It's like it's crazy. It gets on the other wall and it drives me nuts. So I just my whole when I do paint, it's all about the blue painter's tape.
Oh yeah, I used to use that until I discovered this awesome
Yeah.
brush. It's
Uh-huh.
all in the brush. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like they've got these brushes that are angled just right, and I
Hmm.
think they're like $13, but
Yeah.
it's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's
Yeah.
worth
Oh,
it. It's
good.
worth
Do you
it.
paint a lot too? Are you a painter or
I like to just paint, my walls, and
yeah.
and I was into a white period, so like I just did white everywhere,
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
in different colors of white, which is odd.
Yeah.
Like one of them was called cotton ball, and the other one was called, I don't know, like simply white or something. And now
Hmm.
I'm into more of the kind of, I really like the mid-century modern, the deep blues.
Oh, pretty.
So I did it. I did my husband's office. I'm like, I'm doing your office. He's like, what? He's like, are you sure you want to do just this one wall blue? Yes, that's what we're gonna do. And he liked it. And everyone's kind of. I mean, it does have a great effect. It's amazing what a gallon of paint can
Oh, I
do.
know. I know. It's so true.
I
Yeah,
mean,
and it's so affordable too. It's such a big change for $50. It's amazing.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I do all kinds. I mean, but I just and yeah, I do have one room in my home that has not been painted, and that's the one that has the high ceilings. So
Oh, yeah. So
I
you
just
know
need
what
to
I
hire
mean.
out. Yeah, I just need to
Yeah.
hire out. And
Yeah.
I have a like it's got a round it looks like a big porthole, but it's more of a decorative because I have like it's a two-story home. It's a very colonial, very Nashville home. And it
Mm.
has this kind of like a round or octagon shaped window. Well,
Oh,
my son loves to flip uh, bottles of water. So there's two bottles of water up there. So I'm going to make him, when the painters come, I'm going to make him go up and clean that window and bring those water. So that's my decor of that room. And that's the
yeah.
foyer. It's the foyer. I need to do something about it. I take a long time picking paint.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it does feel like a commitment, doesn't it?
But then
Yeah,
it really isn't.
absolutely.
It isn't, it isn't.
No,
If it's a
no,
small
it
room
isn't.
that you can do that you don't have to hire out, then it's not that big of a deal to just paint twice or
Yeah, that's true.
But
Yeah, absolutely.
what are some other things that you advise people, like, that's easy to do, kind of like paint, or what's like the next thing? Like if you just did this, it would really, kind of bring your room together.
Oh God, yeah, there's so many things that are free that you can do. Declutter. I mean, there's sometimes I go into people's homes, or I'm not doing design consulting anymore. I'm a stylist. So I style mostly for my own books, and then I do styling work for brands. And it's amazing to me how much you can achieve if you just declutter a space and just take away stuff. It's kind of like Chanel always said, take off some accessories before you leave the house. Don't leave with everything on that you intended to leave with. And it's true. Take off a few rings, a bracelet, and then you're going to look stylish and you're going to look well put together. There is something to be said for decluttering, definitely. Keep everything in the right place. Don't have too much. Another thing you can do too that really helps is a deep clean. Just keep the house clean. And that helps if you have less stuff. The less you have, the easier it is to keep clean. I'm not a minimalist in any way, shape, or form, but I definitely can tell in my own life that when I have less in a room, it is so much easier to keep clean, and it's also easier to switch things out in the seasons. So like in summer, you may want to add linen and things to your room that feel more summery, silks, linens, cottons, fresh flowers, things like that. And then in the winter, where we hibernate more and it gets a little cold, we may want to bring in wool and cashmere and faux furs and things that just feel a lot more textural and cozy. And you can easily achieve all that if you don't have a lot of stuff in the first place.
Yeah.
So and those are easy changes, totally easy things to do that can make a difference, as well as lighting. You really need to think about lighting. I've been to so many people's homes where they thought about it and it made such an impact versus people that don't think about it. And it's like, I'm not sitting in a dining room, I'm sitting in a cafeteria, or I can't see what I'm eating because it's so dark in here. So I think it's good to really be balanced with your light. Never underestimate the power of a candle. We all look better with candlelight. So that's when you're having a party, make sure you think about lighting. And there's so many things that are so affordable that we can do to make living more comfortable for ourselves.
That is so true. I do love the declutter, and it is. It's I feel like I can breathe when I've decluttered a room. You just are like, oh, this looks, and things look so much better. Like the one thing that you bought looks so much better.
Yeah, it stands out.
Everything around it kind of gets lost.
Because you can see it. Yeah, it's true. And what can really help too with decluttering is declutter your room and stand back and take a photo, because now we're always taking photos for Instagram and stuff. You don't have to share it, but stand back and take a photo and then look at the photo, and that can help you to figure out what else needs to go. There's something about looking at a photo of our room versus looking at it with our naked eye that is so different, and it really works. So I always tell people that as well. Like when you think you've decolored your room, stand back, take a wide shot of it, and then you'll be able to see like very clearly what else is still standing out that's bothersome, and then you can get rid of those things too. Then you're done.
That's a great tip. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
That's a great tip.
Yeah, it really works. It absolutely works. That's what we do as stylists when we're working on rooms and shooting them for our books. We're using a laptop, we're shooting tethered, we're using a photographer, and that's what we do. They take the photo, we look at the laptop, this doesn't look right. We need to move the lamp out. We need to move the ottoman in, whatever. You tweak, tweak, tweak. And after you've done 100 or so homes like I have, you start to really learn how a room can look, not should look. I don't like to say should, there are no rules, but how it could look better if you just modified a few quick things.
Mm-hmm. And usually, like you said, it's taking things out. And
yes.
Simplifying.
Usually it's always that way. It's the funniest thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because then they can see, like I was saying earlier, then they can see that awesome lamp that you know, that's expensive, or the really cool seashell or whatever. And yeah, that's good advice. Yeah.
Oh, great.
That is really good. So tell me really quickly, because you mentioned that now you're doing you're a stylist. So tell me what does that mean to the listeners? What does that mean? And how's that different from, a designer or decorator?
Yeah, well, decorators and designers, they go in and they have a real intention with the home. They're working with the homeowner. They go in and they solve problems. They're going in and the homeowner has a problem with the way the space is laid out, or it's not comfortable enough, or they don't like the materials, or they don't like the colors, or whatever. And the decorator or designer goes in and helps them to solve that problem, get to the root of it, and then figure out what is the best solution. And then they go, they pick the products, they put them all in, the end. With a stylist, it's much different in the sense that we go into homes that are already finished, the homes that people actually enjoy living in and they like their stuff. And if we're shooting for books, like for my books, I'll go in and I'll just tweak things. I'll move something in, something out, just to make it a bit, I guess you would say, composed a bit better for photo. Because again, it's always about removing things from photos that make photos look stronger and really help the viewer looking at a book to see the focal point, or the teaching tip that you're trying to give through that photo. Because every time you're presenting your information in your book through a photo and you're writing the captions, you have to make sure you have real solid tips for each photo. So that's where you do have to pull things out and focus in on what your tip's going to be. So when you're a stylist and you're actually writing your own books as well, like I am, you're not only thinking about styling, but you're thinking about what tip am I going to give my reader from this one photo. Each of my books have, between 250 and 500 photos. So you're thinking about captions and working with your hands, styling pictures nonstop, and it's a lot of work. The other kind of styling work that I do would be more working for brands. They'll send me product. They tell me to put it in my home somewhere. And sometimes I'll build up a room from scratch around their product, pull everything out, put stuff in, or I'll just put the product in my space and I'll put it in a certain way and shoot it. So those are the two different ways that I work as a stylist.
Okay, I get it now. Yeah, that's very interesting. I always wanted to know, the difference, I guess. One is, you're, like you said, you're going into someone's home and kind of, creating something for them, and the other is you're doing kind of putting things together, but you're saying doing tips. What am I saying? What's my message, so to speak?
Exactly. Yeah. You're thinking about what you can teach people through this person's home. Perhaps you're in their home and they have a shelf to illustrate. They have a shelf in their kitchen and it's just loaded with china. And you want to talk to your readers through the pages of your book and show them this china cabinet and show them how, you can organize china in an open display to make it look nice instead of cluttered. So in order to show that as an example, you may have to declutter this homeowner's china cabinet. You may have to pull out some of the stuff, lay it off to the side, and then restyle the whole cabinet so that it fits more of your view and what you want to teach. And then the photographer shoots it. It goes in your book and you write the caption. So that's really what styling is all about. And for me at least, is teaching.
Yeah, that's really, really neat that you're doing that you're able to have that. Yeah, it's almost like a photographer who has that eye,
Yes.
And the author who, can really jump into characters. And, that's really something spectacular, I think, and very amazing. Thanks. That people can do that. So
thank you.
Tell me, Holly, Are you a reader? Do you like to read?
Yes, yeah, I do like to read when I have time. Absolutely.
What are you
Yeah.
reading these days?
Right now I'm reading this new magazine called Cool. It's Koul magazine. It's a Dutch word. It means cool.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about knitting and crocheting and weaving, and it's beautiful. It's produced by my friend who lives in Singapore, and it's available worldwide. But I really love it. I just got it in the mail yesterday, and I can't stop looking at it. It's basically all about yarn crafting, so
Is it
pretty interesting.
really nice? Like they talk about knitting and as well as great pictures, or
Yes, it's everything. I mean, she's phenomenal. She's laid out this whole independently published magazine, and she has contributors, and it just shows you different. It's very nice. It's very nicely done. She even has some recipes in here. She has like
oh
meet the
wow,
makers. It's beautiful. I put it on my Instagram a few days ago. So if you look on the Decorate
yeah, I'll
Instagram,
have
you'll
to go
see
back
it.
and
You
look.
can link to it. Yeah, it's really fantastic. So that's what I'm reading right now. Yeah.
And so, tell me what three things. I always ask my guest what three
Uh-huh.
things they're absolutely loving these days.
Okay. Yeah. So I would say my Olympus pen camera, because I have a really nice high-end Canon and a lot of expensive lenses, and I've realized that I'm just not taking a lot of photos anymore when I'm going out with my family because my kit is too expensive and too big to carry around. So I started using this little Olympus pen, and I love it, and it takes awesome photos. The photos I put on my blog, in fact, today were shot with this little Olympus pen camera. So I really am inspired by that thing. It's
Is
got me
it
back.
small?
Yeah, it's small and it's amazing. Like you can fit different lenses on it. So you can also put really good lenses on it. But
Hmm.
I just used the lens that came in the box, and it's great. And it's so cute. It looks kind of retro. It's white and beige, and I
Oh,
love it. I've had it for a year. I've never used it. My husband's like, you need to use this thing because you stop taking photos. You're just using your iPhone all the time and the quality isn't the same. And
yeah.
so, and I also love this Lilabo. I don't know if you know Lilabo, but they sent me this vanilla spray that I really wanted and I really love it. It's a room spray in vanilla. And what else am I into? Oh, Sonics. Do you know this company, Sonics? They have iPhone cases.
No, I don't know anything about that.
Yeah,
Sonic
no,
here means, the little
yeah.
local place to get drinks. But
Oh, yeah, no, this is Sonics, Sonix. I think they're out of LA. And I actually bought a cell phone case and my iPhone case from them like 2 years ago at like Anthropologie or something. I don't know. And I still get compliments on this thing every single time I'm out with it. It's amazing, like how many people love it. And I just went to their website earlier today and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to buy more of these. So once you see them, you'll be addicted.
I
You'll
can't
want them
wait.
too.
I'm going to
Yeah,
look it up
it's
as
like
soon as we get out.
everyone loves them. When I was at this blogger conference last week, and I think every single person came up to me and said, "Where'd you get your case?" And I'm like, "Wow, if I only made money off of this, I'd be rich."
Wow, I need to.
Yeah,
Is it
big fan.
colorful or is it just like
No, it's
user friendly?
clear.
Like,
No, it's hard. So it's like my kid is always throwing my phone. So when he throws it, nothing happens. But it's transparent and you can get all these different patterns on it. And I just love it.
hmm,
You've got to look at their site.
I'll
It's
have to
so
check it
good.
out. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's no promotion here. I don't even think they know I'm
Right.
alive.
No, yeah.
I just love them. Like I want to buy more and more and more now. So pretty addicted.
Definitely going to check all three of those things out. But so the
Yeah.
vanilla room, you said it's a spray, like
Yeah, it's from
vanilla.
this company called Lee Labo, LE space LABO. They're out of New York. So American company.
Hmm.
I love my American products. I live in Germany. I live in a place where I can get the most beautiful things in the world from France and Germany and UK, but I always go back to my favorite American brands. It's so funny.
Yeah. Well,
The
one
mass
last. Oh, sorry.
chocolate,
Go ahead.
the
Go ahead.
J. Crew, the mass chocolate. I just love it. I love my American stuff.
What was it? The chocolate that you liked? I'm sorry, I was
Mass
talking over you.
Brothers. No, no, the Mass Brothers that they wrap it so pretty. You
Oh,
know it. I'm sure you know it. It's out of Brooklyn. You have to Google it.
I'll have to Google that. Yeah.
Yeah,
Maths
it's great.
Brothers.
Yeah, it's so super pretty.
That
They're
sounds
from Brooklyn, so
okay.
yeah. Yep.
So one last question. Tell me
Yeah.
what you love most about living where you live in your community or just like in Germany, period. Tell me what is like one favorite thing that you love.
Oh my God, I love the Four Seasons, the access to all the other cultures nearby. I can hop on a plane and then in 45 minutes to an hour, I'm in some other beautiful part of the world that's so close. I love it. I love the access I have to so many different countries and cultures. It's amazing,
That
really
is
amazing.
really cool.
Yeah, I
That
can
is
drive to Denmark. I can drive to the Netherlands. I can drive to Poland. It's like it's all right here. I can drive to France. I've never lived like this. I love it. I feel really, really happy with this kind of access. It's great, especially when you're creative because you just can see so much,
mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really good.
Very good. Thank you
Yeah,
so much for coming
thank you.
on. This has been so much fun. I'm like jumping
Nice.
up and down inside. I loved it.
Good. Thanks so much. I'm happy you had me. I'm really honored. Thanks so much.
Wow, she is a hard-working lady, and she was such a delight to interview. Don't you just love all of her favorite things? I did, and I have added those things to my shopping list. I want all of them. You can find all of the items mentioned on this podcast at CorineSandiford.com. And don't forget to hop over to Instagram to enter and find out all the details on how to win a book, Decorate for a Party by Holly Becker. Music is by Ben Sound, and this podcast has been sponsored by Brentwood Life Coach. Thanks so much for listening to Rising Stories, and take care and keep rising in your own story.